Okay, hello guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. I'm so sure you've been enjoying our content so far, and today is another day. I hope you sit tight and enjoy our show. So today, in our midst, we have a very important personality, a captivating person. He's personally my father and a mentor. He's also my mentor. He's a pastor. He's a pharmacist. He's a big person. So I'm going to be welcoming Pastor Franklin Ewelike. So he's here today to talk to us about time management. So he can just tell us more about himself.
Wow, okay. Good afternoon, and favor. Good afternoon, everyone. I think I'm flattered now because she has said quite a lot about me. Just like she said, my name is Franklin Ewelike. I'm a pharmacist and also a ministry person, and I'm happy to be here. I've heard a lot about this podcast, and it's a privilege to be part of it, to be part of a media movement that is touching lives, changing narratives, and transforming a lot of persons. So I believe that the little time we spend will be a wonderful time, and we'll all learn, unlearn, relearn, so that we'll become better persons for ourselves, for our society, and for the kingdom of God. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so please do not forget to subscribe and like and comment. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about time management, as you can see. So our daddy here and father is going to be telling us about time management. So, sir, please, what do you think about time management? What is time management?
All right. Okay. So before I answer that question, I just want to emphasize on what she said. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment and don't forget to like. All right. Time management. Let me begin this way. Time is a gift from God. Time is the unit of life. When a person finishes their journey on earth and they go to be with the Lord and they are buried, usually on the burial brochure or probably at the cemetery, you would see something like 1960 to 2000 or 1905 to 2000. That's, you see a time here, you see dash, you also see another time. That dash there is the time allocated to the person on earth. Everything the person accomplished was tied around that dash, the dash in between. So now, when we begin to understand time as a gift, it will help us to appreciate the definition. So I just needed to create that background before I define what I believe time management is. So once you understand that time is a gift, time is not just a matter of seconds and minutes and hours and days. Time is a gift given to us by God, right? So time management is our ability to utilize that gift given to us on this side of eternity to do the things that are relevant to our purpose, relevant to our destiny, relevant to God, relevant to people that God has committed to us, right? Because there would always be more things to do than your time can permit. So your ability to utilize the time you have to do the things that you need to do among the many things that present themselves for you to do is what we call time management. And then let me take it a step further. So I believe that time management cannot fully be described or defined if we don't talk about priority. As a matter of fact, I believe it's more about priority management more than it is about time management. So time management is the ability to manage your priorities. All right, we all have 24 hours, but some persons do more with 24 hours than others would do with 1 week. It's not because they have more time, but because they are able to do the right thing at the right time. So that is what time management is.
Wow, I'm already be like learning a lot of stuff. Okay, sir. You talked about utilizing the ability to utilize our time. So,
Yeah.
is it, how do we get this ability? Because people watching now will be like, okay, I want to manage my time, but it's like something like it's like an ability. How do I develop this ability to be able to utilize it?
All right. Okay. Let me start by saying that time management is actually a skill. So it is a skill, then it can be learned. Everything that is a skill can be learned. Nobody is born with a special ability to manage time. People are born with special ability to do things, People are born with special talents, but nobody is born with special ability to manage time. And unfortunately or fortunately, your ability to utilize the talents which we are born with to make impact will so much depend on your ability to manage time. All right. So now, how do we develop this skill to manage time? How do we develop the ability to manage time? The first thing is an understanding of purpose. Because if I'm a pastor, so I'm permitted to use the scriptures. All right. So, if you look at the book of Ecclesiastes, the Bible says there is to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose. Every man is born with a purpose, and wherever you see purpose on earth, there is time allocated to it. So ability to manage time begins with your understanding that, number one, we are created for a purpose, and that purpose has a time allocated to it. What it means is that you don't have eternity to fulfill your purpose. Once you understand that, you begin to live with a sense of urgency. So a sense of urgency is actually the foundation for time management, knowing that there is something to do and there is time allocated to do it. Now, that foundation now helps you to define your priorities. So number one is understanding purpose and understanding there is a time allocated for the fulfillment of purpose. Number two is on the strength of your purpose, you now define your priorities. Your priorities may not be my priorities. You're a medical doctor in the making. If you choose to practice medicine, the books you read, you'll be preparing for your residency exams and all those professional exams. And if I'm practicing as a ministry person, we can't be reading the same books. We may read the same book at a certain period of our lives, but it is not the level of attention that you give to that book that will give to the book. For instance, I'm also a medical person, I'm a pharmacist. If I'm going to meet doctors to detail a product, I may give my time to certain books that would help me understand better about those products. If you're trying to study your pharmacology, you may be reading the same book at the same time I'm reading the same book. But you may be reading that book for the next 2-3 years because you always be making reference to it. I may not need it that much because it may not be my full area of practice. But when it comes to books that talk about spiritual growth, helping people know God the more, I'll be focusing more time reading those books. All right. So what it means is that, so number two is that you have to define your priorities in line with your purpose. And then it is also important that we understand that purpose is fragmented in phases. In accomplishing your purpose, there are different roles you play at different times. For instance, your purpose may be to change the face of medicine, but as it is right now, you are in school. What it means is that you can't be changing the face of medicine now, but there is something you're doing that is connected to changing the face of medicine. It means that you have to understand the cause very well. You have to be your best at what you do. There's a connection. That means you've been able to define your priorities in line with your purpose. So when some other persons who just want to finish studying medicine because their parents want them to study medicine, when they are going to party or going to certain places, you can't go because you know that in line with your purpose, two of you may be doing the same course, but the purpose is different and it defines some persons in your department. I know someone who is in medicine, he just finished his final exam. If you ask me if I'm sleeping and I wake up, you ask me, I'll tell you that in the next 5 years, this young man will be on the pulpit preaching. So every time school is over, you may find him fasting or going for a retreat. Someone else who is not called in that line may not be doing the same thing. So you have to define your priorities in line with your purpose. All right. Then the next one is the ability to say no. If you don't know how to say no to certain things, the things you're supposed to say yes to, you may be forced to say no to them. All right. Because everything demands your time. Time is the unit of life. Anything that does not deserve your life does not deserve your time. So if you don't know how to say no, people will use your time for things that are not connected to your destiny. They will use your time to fulfill their own bidding, and it has no bearing with your destiny. And because time cannot be stored, time cannot be stopped, whatever time you use for one thing, you can't use it for another thing. So the only thing you can do with time is to maximize it. So if you don't know how to say no, it means that your yes, the many yes you say to many things, will actually force you to say no to the things that truly matter. All right. So, and the irony of life is that the things that truly matter do not place place so much demand on your time with a sense of urgency until it is almost too late. For instance, nobody will come every day to hit you on the bed and wake you up and tell you, read for your test, read for your test, read for your test, until it is probably a day to your test and you realize you're not prepared. You understand? So you must learn how to say no to certain things. And then the next one, maybe I'll just stop here. Probably as we continue in the discussion, I'll mention other ones. You must learn how to plan, and how to plan always. Some people know how to make long-term plans, but they don't know how to make medium and short-term plans that would culminate in the actualization of the long-term plans. Right? So learning how to plan goes beyond what you do 1st of January or the first week of the year, where you say, okay, this year, this is what I want to do. You must learn how to plan every single day. And when you've defined your priorities, learn how to say no. You now learn how to plan in line with the things that you must say yes to. So when you wake up every day, planning is something you're supposed to do every single day, because every day presents you an opportunity to contribute towards the things that matter to you in the long run. So in your planning, you must learn how to put the things that are connected to your value system and your purpose as priorities, and then learn how to start with the ugly, difficult task. Because most times we want to start with the simple things, but the simple things are not usually the most important things. Most times we spend so much time doing those things that seem easy to do, and we don't have enough time to do the most important things. Because life is designed in such a way that there are certain things that control other things. So in the 90s, before the 90s, I think 1950 something, one Italian man called Pareto, he propagated a theory or a principle, whichever way, or a rule, and he said that he's an Italian man, or he was an Italian man. He said that 80% of the wealth of Italy was controlled by 20% of the population. That theory was extrapolated and named the Pareto's rule, and people have used it even in organizations, in time management. It tells you that 20% of activities will determine 80% of your productivity. So when you wake up in the morning, there are 100 things to do. 20% out of those 100 things would actually give you the result you need for the day. The remaining 80% will find their expression around those 20%. So sometimes we leave the 20% to go for the 80% that do not matter. Let me use a scriptural example. Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. That means you can decide to seek it second, decide to seek it third. But the irony is that when you seek it first, those things you would have sought maybe second, third, fourth would actually come on their own. So understand the core of your existence, the things that matter most to you, that when you do it, the other things will align. It will really help you to plan your time very well. I don't know if I'm being a bit complex, but I believe with time I'll be able to expatiate on that very well.
So much wisdom. Wow. I hope we are actually getting a lot from this. Like, I've gotten a whole lot of things. Okay, you talked about setting our priorities right. You talked about knowing our purpose. You talked about learning how to say no and planning. Oh, wow, so much. Okay, talking about learning how to say no. Can you just give us a practical example, or maybe you had an experience before? People just hear this learning how to say no, but they don't really know how to be able to say no when it comes to doing it practically.
Okay, so this is a very practical example. In fact, it's very recent. So I moved into a new place, or I'm in the process of moving into a new place. A friend of mine, he just became a friend of mine because I'm moving into that place. He's a medical doctor. He helped me because he stays there, and he's going to be my neighbor. So he helped me make the arrangements that needed to be made, put certain things in place. And so a few days ago, he called me and he told me that his mom's 60th birthday is today. All right. So, and that he wanted to please use my car from yesterday till today, if I could join him, or probably release my car. All right. Now I know that I had a lot of things to do yesterday, and then I have this program today. And this program is important to me because, number one, I share a very special relationship with the person who is the organizer. And then number two is a kingdom-based program because it's going to transform lives. So these things. And then number three, I have the person who is the organizer is a co-laborer with me. We work together to ensure that the work of the kingdom moves forward. Now, this is something that is connected to my purpose, connected to my core values. Now, this is birthday celebration. If I go for this birthday, it will solidify my relationship with this young man who is a medical doctor. But when I do relative comparison, I know that this is more important than this. So I'm saying no. I said no to him, not because it is not important, but because this is more important. And I gave him reason. So in learning how to say no, we must understand that saying no to someone does not mean that the person is less valuable. Is a fact is a matter of your own value system and the things that matter more to you and matter more to the things that you hold dear, to the people that you hold there. All right. Now, if I didn't have this engagement today, probably I would have driven to that place, spent 30 minutes or 1 hour, and I would have come back. But because of this engagement, it was not possible for me to go. Now, if I had said yes to him, this is what will happen. I might still go, but I may not be productive in this engagement. So probably I'll come late, all right, or I will come and I will be in a hurry and I will not be settled in. So sometimes we say no. You must learn to say no, not because you will not be able to divide yourself to do those things, but because your productivity in the things that matter will be hindered. All right. So it is important to learn to say no, because if you don't say no, like I said earlier, the things you're supposed to say yes to, they will suffer. And in learning to say no, you must understand that saying no to a person does not mean that you value the person less. And then saying no is something that will always happen. You don't have to be emotional about it. Or you don't have to be emotional about it. And then another thing that would help is that you must learn to say no the right way, because some people will just wait. This is another thing that makes people not to be able to say no. Let me use a practical example apart from the one I use now. Let's say someone invites me for a program, and that person invites me for a program, and then I don't have a plan, because having a plan helps you to say no. If I don't have a plan, I'll just be waiting, and the two programs are clashing. I've not planned it out. A day to the program, I know that these people, they've already planned everything around my coming, and then I just call the person and I tell the person that I can't come. It becomes a problem because these people, they've already planned a lot of things around your coming. All right. So you may find out that you may want to even attend the two of them. At the end of the day, you may miss one without even informing them. So if you want to say no, there is a right way to say no. One, as early as possible, so that if there is a need for those persons to make adjustments, they will make adjustments. That is one, because so that the impact of the no will not be so much on the people, because sometimes it's not about the fact that you said no, but because of the impact of the no. So you have to say it as early as possible. Then you have to be polite but firm. All right. You have to be polite but firm. So you don't just tell the person, I can't come. I don't care what you want to do about it. But in being polite, you explain to the person and let the person know that if not for this reason, I would have come. But because of this, I won't be able to come. So it is important. It should be something we should wake up every day with the decision and willingness to say no when the need arises. Because a lot of things will be calling for your attention and you cannot give everything your attention. If not, you'll be stressed, you'll be thinned, and you'll not be effective. Thank you.
Wow. I hope we're really getting a lot of things. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, sir, I'm your student and I've sat under your teaching a couple of times. And
Okay.
there was this thing you talked about, how to differentiate between what is urgent, what is
Okay.
important, and what is not important.
Okay.
And I know when you talked about it, it really, really helped me a lot. So I really want you to share with us
Okay.
how to.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. In the principle of time management, what you talked about is actually very important. So, Stephen Covey wrote a book, and in his book, I think it's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. There's a segment of the book that captures what he calls this matrix of time management. So that matrix is a quadrant. Is like a square that has four different squares. So it's called quadrant. So each quadrant represents a certain part of the matrix. So in those four different squares, the first quadrant there, so this is the matrix that helps people to be effective and manage their time well. So the first quadrant, so first of all, the intention is to differentiate between what is important and what is not important, as well as what is urgent and what is not urgent. So the first quadrant, which is considered the most important quadrant, is the quadrant that talks about things that are both important and urgent. All right. For instance, maybe you have an assignment to submit and there is a deadline and you're close to the deadline. The assignment is important. Importance is defined as the significance of an activity or an engagement to your core value, to your goal and to your objective. All right. So urgency is defined as the level of impact that that thing will have on you if you don't do it immediately. All right. So there are some things that are categorized as important and urgent. For instance, um, your exams. You have exams tomorrow. Preparing for that exam is both important and urgent because the exam has a timeline. If you don't prepare for it, it's going to impact your academics. Or maybe you have documents to submit at work. There's a proposal for a contract that you need to submit before 12 midnight today, and that contract is important for your company, is important for your family. So that in that case now it's both urgent and important. So when something is both urgent and important, what you do is that you get it done. And these are some of the principles of time management. If something is both urgent and important, the recommendation is that you get it done. Now, there are other things that are important but not urgent. For instance, exercise. All right. Exercise is important because if you exercise, it's going to help you keep fit. And in the long run, you're going to have a healthy body. It's not urgent because if you decide not to exercise now, you will not feel the impact even tomorrow, next tomorrow. But it is important. Another thing is relationship with your family, bonding with your wife, bonding with your children, bonding with your family members is important because that bonding in the long run will prevent a lot of challenges that could emanate as a result of misunderstanding, which is as a result of not spending time together. But if you don't do the bonding, then you will not notice it. All right. So in this quadrant, you have things that are important but that are not urgent. So what do you do about things that are important and not urgent? You schedule them because they have to be done. You schedule them, or because it's not something you have to do immediately. When you schedule them, you know, okay. Because the truth is that the things that are important and not urgent, when you don't schedule them and do them, a time will come when they will become both important and urgent. And at that time, it is easy to actually make mistakes. For instance, when the semester begins, exams, preparing for exam is important, but it's not urgent. But 2 days to exam, preparing for exam is both important and urgent. If you maximize your time when something is still in the second quadrant of important but not urgent, when it gets to the point of it being important and urgent, you would have prepared for it very well. Then there's a third quadrant, which is where you have things that are not important but they are urgent. For instance, if you're a CEO and you have a board meeting with your board members, and then all of a sudden someone runs into your company, you're in your office, the board meeting is about to hold in the next 2 minutes, or someone just comes knocking at the gate and the person is shouting because of the nuisance the person is creating. At that point, it is urgent that you attend to it, but you can't determine whether it is important because you don't know why the person is there, and because relatively there is something more important for you to do at that time. At that moment, you consider that engagement or that confrontation as something that is urgent but not important. So what do you do when you have things that are urgent but not important? You delegate. So you can call your COO, you can call your general manager and say, please go and find out what is happening. When the person finds out, the person will determine if your attention is actually needed at that time. So sometimes some calls are urgent but they're not important. It's urgent because the person wants you to pick, but it may not be important. There are some things, some emails that you don't have to reply to immediately. So for things like that, you learn how to delegate, except it is something that you cannot delegate. And then the last quadrant, right, is the quadrant where you have things that are not important and not urgent. And because time management is important, those things, what you do is that you ignore them. They are time wasters. There are people that when they come, you are not discussing anything. They're just saying things that are not consistent with your purpose in life and all that. There are certain engagement. It's not every meeting, it's not some popular events are not important, they are not urgent. So you only consider those things when you've focused and accomplished your major objectives and goals for the season, can now decide to indulge in some of the things that are not important. But as much as possible, we're encouraged to ignore the things that are not important and not urgent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, one last thing.
All right.
Okay. And I want to know, is there a connection between time management and procrastination? I know
Okay.
we've talked about how we should effectively manage our time and to do what we're supposed to do and leave the things we're not supposed to do.
Mm,
But we've not talked about how not even doing anything or pushing things, whether it's actually related to this time management.
okay. Okay. So there's a popular saying that goes, procrastination is the thief of time. All right. If procrastination is the thief of time, that means there is a very strong relationship between time management and procrastination. Now, procrastination, let me say this because it's very important. Most times, procrastination hides under the umbrella or wears the clothes of preparation, like I'm not yet prepared, I'm not in the best state to do this. Most people that procrastinate, they have reasons for procrastination. And what makes procrastination strong and addictive is your ability to have reasons to procrastinate. Person is saying, oh, I'm not feeling like it. I'm very tired. I'm not in the right frame of mind. But the truth is that the people that get things done are not always in the best state to do it. Sometimes the best state comes when you're already doing it. All right. So when it comes to time management and procrastination, this is my submission and this is my recommendation for people. Now, if you don't want to procrastinate, start now. Start with the difficult task. It's very important. The truth is that everybody procrastinates about something. So you must choose what you want to procrastinate. Do you understand? For instance, if you're reading, if you decide to read your book and not surf Facebook, you're procrastinating Facebook because you might still go to Facebook, but you're procrastinating what is less important. So we all procrastinate. Just choose what to procrastinate. You understand? It becomes an issue when you're procrastinating the things that you're supposed to be doing. All right. And then what another question that people should ask when it comes to procrastination is, every time I procrastinate, what am I always doing? Most times people procrastinate because they want to do that which makes them feel good, not that which makes them productive. Sometimes the things that make you feel good may not make you productive because inconvenience is the crucible of productivity. Most of the things that will make you productive in life are not convenient. Reading is not convenient. Going for trainings is not convenient. Taking courses online is not convenient. Convenient. Buying a master's course and doing your master's is not convenient. Going for professional certifications is not convenient. But they are things that will make you productive. So some persons may want to just see movies. You understand? Okay, let me do this later. Why do it later when you can do it now? So the key to ensuring that you don't procrastinate is that you give every flying second something to keep in stock, something that concerns your destiny. So if you have any task to do, do it as though this is the only time you have to do it, and as though you will never have another opportunity to do it. That way it will be easier to deal with the subject of procrastination. Procrastination also cannot be dealt with if value system is not dealt with. Most people that procrastinate, they don't have a value system that places premium on the things that are most important in their lives. So if we can take a restudying of our value system and reconsider what we consider as our values, it will also help us to deal with procrastination. So thank you very much.
Okay, I know I said one last thing, but
Okay.
just another last
Okay.
thing because students are listening. Some persons, business people are listening. People that are very busy, they are listening. And I mean, our world today, people want to know the reason. They need to know why. Okay, I know that this thing is good. I know it's good to manage my time, but why? What are the benefits and what are the consequences of
Okay.
not managing our time?
All right. I'll use very simple example. Okay, so let's say I'm a student, and then at the beginning of the semester, there is something called semester calendar. All right. The purpose of the semester calendar is not just to let you know what the school wants to do, it's to help you plan yourself in line with what the school is doing. Now, let's put it this way. Mr. A or student A decides to plan himself. He knows that this semester he's doing 12 courses, and now he wants to have an A. He already defined his objective. He wants to have maybe 12 A's. He starts planning himself. He goes for fellowship. He comes back. He puts 5 hours into his books. He doesn't go for parties. He doesn't go for necessary ceremonies. He's managing his time. 2 weeks to the exam, he has gotten the foundational things that he needs to pass the exam. He's now beginning to revise. So you see this elder brother, Mr. B, who also wants to have 12 A's at the end of the semester, the same fellowship with Mr. A. Both of them probably leaders. After fellowship, maybe fellowship closes by 7 p.m. Mr. B continues to gist with people. We used to call it fellowship after fellowship then. And then at the end of the day, you gist for 12 hours or for 2 hours or 3 hours. By the time Mr. B gets home, it's 11 p.m. He's tired. He wants to sleep. Before you know it, the semester will almost come to an end, maybe 2 weeks to exam. You'd find out that even though both of them had the same desire, one person had been able to manage his time. So one of the benefits of time management is that it helps you to actualize your goals. Is wanting to set goals is another thing to accomplish those goals. And time management involves a lot of discipline. So another benefit of time management is that it inculcates discipline into you, which can be replicated in other areas of your life. Because time management involves a lot of discipline. As you begin to learn to manage your time and learn that skill, that virtue of discipline will spill over into other areas of your life. All right, so it helps you to actualize your goals. It makes you generally productive in almost every area of your life. That another thing is that time management helps you to sieve the kind of company you keep. Someone who is huge on time management with time will begin to attract only disciplined people, only productive people. Because if you're someone that is huge on time management, it's not everybody you can have discussion with. It's not everybody you can sit down with. That value of time management you've created around yourself would naturally repel people who do not have an understanding. So people cannot waste your time. All right. So that's another benefit of time management. Another benefit of time management is what I call extrapolated motivation. Let me explain. Okay. So the Bible says something. The Bible says desire accomplished is sweet to the soul. It said when a desire is delayed or when expectation is delayed, it said it breaks the heart, but when a desire is accomplished, it's sweet to the soul. What it means is that one of the ways you motivate yourself to do bigger things is when you're able to accomplish smaller tasks. So when there is time management, remember I said you accomplish goals. Some of these goals are short-term goals. As you begin to accomplish them, the joy and the motivation that comes from that accomplished goal will spur you up to do some other more complex and more difficult tasks. So it also means that it helps you to develop a healthy self-esteem. All right, so it helps you to develop a very healthy self-esteem. And healthy self-esteem is very important because people with healthy self-esteem can try complex matters. They can give their shot for big things. The world is a world for the bold people. The people making impact are not the most intelligent of people. They are not the most trained of people. Of course, intelligence should be there, training should be there, but there are people who are bold enough to take steps. And if you check it, if you bring it down to time management, you see that step by step, precept upon precept, time management affects your boldness. Because because your ability to say no also has a lot to do with your ability to be bold. I remember as children of God, the Bible says God has given us the spirit of boldness. So if you can manage your time, that means you've said no to some persons. And it takes boldness to be able to say no, even to certain persons. There are people that it's difficult to say no to them, but because of that value built around yourself. So you find out that boldness that enables you to say no, because something is not very important, would also enable you to commit yourself to more important things that you would have shied away from. So it's a whole lot of complex when it comes to the benefit of time management. And it also helps you to maximize important relationships, because I've discovered that the reason so many people don't maximize important relationships is because they spend time in unimportant relationships. All right. Most times, the reason you can't do what you're supposed to do is because you're doing the things you're not supposed to do with your time. So it helps you to be productive. It helps you to be bold. It helps you to achieve your goals. It brings extrapolated motivation. It attracts the right kind of people, and generally it helps you to maximize relationships. There are a whole lot of other benefits. These are the basic ones that I can talk about now.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. This is a whole lot. This is a whole lot. I hope we've been able to, get wisdom and strength and knowledge from this to be able to empower us to manage our time wisely. Wow, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Favor.
This is so much. I need to go back and watch this again and write down the things that I've learned from this. Wow, I hope we've actually learned a lot. So please do not forget to subscribe for this value you are getting.
Very important.
Yeah,
very important.
Subscribe and like this comment.
Share.
Yes, and then also you can also follow Pastor Franklin. Pastor Franklin is our lead steward in Growth House International. Yes, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook. Yes, and you can follow him on Facebook too, on his personal account, which is Franklin Ewelike there. Also on Instagram, please follow him. When you follow him, tell him you've watched this video and everything is going to be fine. You can connect from there and we can also take you into our platform. And then Pastor Franklin also hosts what we call the Stretch Night every first Friday. And when you follow our Facebook and Instagram account, you're going to get more info from there. So thank you so much for staying up to now. Thank you. All right. You have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Favor. Thank you, Ebit Media. Thank you, everybody.